to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. It's your boy, Rudy Wilson. I'm a PK. We got Janessa Rowland. She's a PK. Terry Wayne, he's a PK. And Kellie Lee, she is also a PK. Guys, welcome back. How you guys doing?
Good.
Terry, what's been up with you, man? We missed you last week.
Yeah, sorry about that. Still doing the comedy thing, so I had a big set to go do. But it was awesome, and it's totally worth missing this for.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Right.
Well, hey, if the show wouldn't have gone well, I'd probably be saying different.
Right. You wish you would have been
Glad
here.
the show went well.
Well, Terry, do you ever plug us in your comedy? Oh, by the way, listen to my podcast.
Of course.
No, I figured we had enough viewers. So.
I mean, 500 million.
I was about to say, how many do we have, Kellie, now?
I didn't want us to get too big too fast.
500 million.
500 million. Yeah, that's too much.
To be fair, Terry, I've never plugged this after my comedy set either. I don't want to leave you out there alone. So I'm good.
It feels like the mood is all wrong.
I just never thought about it, honestly.
Like the mood is.
I usually promote my Cash App. That's where I want people to hit me at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Go ahead and bless me with that. You said
Especially after my set, it just doesn't seem right. I spent 30 minutes talking about cancer and abortion and Nazis and
there you go,
ginger kids and
nice and offensive.
Just all the worst things about life. And then, hey, by the way,
Look, it's a way to bring them to Jesus.
Exactly.
How long was your set?
I did 32 minutes.
Okay, that's a good.
Is that
script.
long?
Right. I was like, I don't.
It's headlining for a local show. Normally a headline set's 45 minimum, but for a local show, that's fine.
But that is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now I was going to say for the opening acts, how long? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? How long?
10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. Also 30 to 10 is pretty large.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It all depends on the structure of the show. Like if you go to a bigger show, like he was saying, maybe if it's on the road or something, you may only have a few comics. So the host may do 10 minutes. Somebody may come after him and do another 10. Somebody else may do another 20, and then he come and do the 45 to an hour. But it just depends on how many comics on the show, how much time you're trying to take up, all that type of jazz. So
exactly right. Yes.
Janessa, how art thou?
Thou art great. This weekend was kind of busy with Father's Day and my niece's birthday. I can't believe Layla's 14. Jessica's oldest daughter.
Hey.
Wow.
Where did the time go? The child will be 18, y'all, in 4 years. I'm not ready. But yeah, that was fun. We actually, as a family, which is something we really don't do, watched the entire Game 7 of the Hawks game. When I say even the kids, Jessica's kids were all into it too. We were all
it was a good time.
And Hawks showing up.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I feel like I'm invested now. I always root for the home team. We could be winning or losing. I don't care. I'm always going to cheer for everybody but that big old high school in the East, which y'all should know. Their mascot's the puppies. So if you don't know who it is, I'm not telling you. I'm not giving them any credit.
I think she's talking about UGA, maybe.
Oh, Georgia Tech.
She's a Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
never.
I will never cheer for them, but I will cheer for any other Atlanta team. So I feel like I'm invested now. So what was yesterday? The game 1 of the Milwaukee Bucks.
They won that one.
I don't know that much about sports, but I did see Trey with the little shimmy in the 3-point shot. So I feel like I'm in it now, until the rest of the basketball season. And then, of course, the Ghetto Garden is still thriving.
Ghetto Garden. Hey, shout out to the Ghetto Garden. You missed the whole scoop on the Ghetto Garden last week, Terry. We had to catch you up.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah, she's growing whole crops in a solo cup.
Red solo
In a red solo cup.
Yeah. So that's right. Look,
Demetrius can start him a little Ghetto Garden too.
That's right.
Do we need to worry about the DEA getting involved?
No, because Demetrius can help us out. But didn't the Bible say that you just need faith of a mustard seed?
That's true.
It's in there.
Seed inside a Solo cup, you good. Okay.
It can move mountains. Okay.
Kellie Lee, talk to us.
Doing well. Consistent with Janessa. I had a lot of father bonding time this past weekend for Father's Day. My game 7 was
Sunday.
Game 7 was Sunday. So Friday, which must have been game 5, I don't know. The last game that they had, game six, I went with my father and my brother. We went to the game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw that.
So that was really nice. We were in the like club level seat, so it was like all you can eat, all you can drink.
Okay, fancy.
So my dad took my brother to the game before that Tuesday-Wednesday game.
Okay.
And so when we talked about all you can drink, I was like, hey, I said, what he was like, I said, did you drink? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, what did Dad say? He was like, I'm grown. So I'm like, all right, let me see, how this will look on.
Did he say something to me? He didn't say nothing to you.
So I get there late as usual because when it's Kellie, not late. So they're already sitting down eating. And so my brother gets up to go get something else. It was like, oh, I'm about to get up and go, get some whatever he would go get, and go to the bar. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to go with you. I'm like, let me follow him. So I follow him. I come back with my little champagne. He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I went and got another one.
Looking at him the whole time you sipping.
He didn't say anything. But no. So I know we talked about that before on the podcast of things we do in front of our parents, and but yeah. So my father does know that to give Demetrius some background, my father does know that I drink. But we don't, typically in public places where, whatever, that whole thing. We'll get into that with you soon.
Right.
We'll get deep into your business soon. But yeah, so I was trying to figure out what that looks like, but he didn't say anything. So that was a good time. And then Father's Day, I spent with my parents. We watched the game. So that was fun. I'm hoping that we'll go back to the game Sunday. Me, my brother, and my dad. I'm hoping that he bought us tickets again. That we'll go back on Sunday. So that's been really good. So that's been about it. Yep, doing good, doing great.
Gotcha.
How about you, Rudy?
My dad still hasn't replied to my Happy Father's Day text to this very moment right now.
He loves you, Rudy. So, deep down inside.
He was looking for a phone call, sir. He was looking for you.
Well, I talked to him the day before. I talked to him the day before, which is why I kind of felt awkward about calling the next day. And we had a whole conversation about Risa buying him something, even though he told her he didn't want anything, and how she doesn't get the message. And so, I didn't want to overwhelm him. So I tried to just, shoot text. He still hasn't replied.
Nope.
So
you should have sent him what Risa was gonna buy, okay?
Right. I get. I mean, hey, she always puts my name on the card anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's the thing. That's definitely a thing. Well, as you guys can see, all of our viewers, we appreciate you guys for viewing and listening all the time. We do have a special guest in the building. We haven't had a guest in a while since our siblings. We had Marcy on, but that was months ago. And so we do have a special guest, somebody I've known, I feel like definitely pretty much my entire life.
Who did it?
Kellie.
Sorry.
Ain't nobody but Kellie. Ain't nobody but Kellie.
I turned it off on my phone, but my computer is ringing. I'm like, y'all can hear it on my computer.
That's that Apple. Next, your iPad gonna be ringing, your watch.
Right.
But like I said, we do have a special guest here. He has a bio that I'm actually going to read. I'm going to read it because Janessa sent it to me, and I want everybody to know the full extent This person is, because I have a personal, intro I could give, but I'm going to do just do. All right.
We get both.
Sure, we can get both. So I'm gonna try to read this quickly. Demetrius Emery McCoy is a native of Decatur, Georgia. Throughout his career, McCoy has developed into an innovative thinker and transformative leader, providing service and advocacy to the citizens of his community. A servant leader, Demetrius has broad experience, I can't read, in the public sector, including aiding the people of Georgia's 12th congressional district as a constituent services representative in the office of Congressman John Barrow. McCoy also previously served as a policy analyst in the office of the chief executive in DeKalb County, Georgia, under interim CEO Lee May. Currently, McCoy serves DeKalb County's 5th Commission District as the chief of staff to the commissioner. Hope I don't butcher her name. I guess it's Marita. There you go. Davis Johnson. McCoy completed his Bachelor's of Arts degree in 2012 from the illustrious Payne College in Augusta, Georgia. During his undergraduate years, McCoy served as a freshman class president, second vice president for the Student Government Association. While at Payne, he pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. In 2015, Demetrius completed his Master's of Science degree from, help me out, Brenau University in organizational leadership. Currently, McCoy is entering his final year at Argosy.
Cancel that. They closed years ago.
Got you. So a lifetime member of Sigma Tau Delta English Honor Society, McCoy is committed to working on his first book. On July 16, 2016, Demetrius married the love of his life, Miss Mariah J. Crew. Together, the two will teach, coach, and motivate individuals into their purpose and destiny. McCoy and his wife, Mariah, are the senior pastors of Word of Life Christian Church at the Life Center Church in Decatur, Georgia. This is somebody who I have definitely grown up with. I've probably watched Rugrats with, Keenan and Kel with. I've probably fought with. I've all the above. Okay, yeah. This is a true friend of mine. Somebody who I'm very proud of and very proud to know. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause if you are listening. Even the group here, y'all can clap too, for Pastor Demetrius McCoy Sr.
Rudy,
me,
after reading that introduction, you really did.
Well, I read it because it has some things that I do want to touch on in reference to, even like the political stuff, whatever that I wanted to ask you about. So I wanted the people to kind of get the full spectrum of who you are. Welcome, man.
Credentials?
Say it again.
You gotta worry who you are, honey. list those credentials. Let us know.
Oh my goodness.
He is that guy. Right. Quoting Sakari Richardson. She's that girl, Demetrius, that guy.
Yeah, she's killing it. Meet, man, welcome to the podcast, man.
I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to be here. It felt kind of weird that I got the invitation through Messenger. I was like, wait, I know Janessa real good. She hit me.
I should have called, huh?
Just called me. I'm excited to be here, man. Rudy, it was real cool a couple of weeks ago or months ago. Just pick up the phone and randomly talk to you. That was like the best thing in the world, man.
Yeah, man. I had to. Thanks to Kellie here, because that particular episode was when I had I was quoting I believe the first sermon I had ever seen you preach when you was 12 years old about obedience is better than sacrifice. And so she was like, man, you should call him and tell him that you and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call him and tell him.
Yes.
I still remember that even after all these years. I'm 31 going on 32. I'm sure you're somewhere around that
31.
There you go. So it's been some time that passed, man, but I'm definitely glad to have you here, glad to see you, man. So I guess for starters, man, I'll let you actually kind of not so much reintroduce yourself, because I know I kind of gave you full bio, but I do want you to kind of, I guess, give us your road to now, from I guess kind of starting from how you got into preaching and stuff and becoming a minister when you were 12 and then leading up to now.
So I became, let me just say this too, also in my bio added is we have our amazing son, Demetrius Jr., who turns 3 in October.
Hey.
So I have to make sure I say something about him because he's real.
So this is an old bio. that we have here.
Yeah, it's an old one. If Janessa had called me, you would have had the updated one.
Yeah. That's what you did with Facebook Messenger.
I didn't know he was gonna read it. I was just trying to give them some background context. I know you have a son.
Well, I figured that was going to be one of my first questions. So I'm glad you asked, because I see you're senior, so I assume there's a junior somewhere. Yeah. So that's beautiful.
I'll tell you this. I'll be honest with you. You asked me about preaching, Rudy. I remember before I ever became a preacher, a minister, whatever you want to refer to it as, before I started speaking the word of God, we used to go in my basement at my house. And my mom was singing a choir at Thankful Baptist Church, so she had a bunch of choir robes that she had. And Janessa, you probably don't know the story, but I'm gonna fill you in. And me and Rudy would go and we put on those choir robes and we'd fight over who was going to be Bishop Paul Morton or Bishop James. A little speaker, y'all remember those old stereo systems that had like the really tall speakers? That was like our podium. So we used this huge family Bible on top of it, and we preached.
Preaching to nobody, just a big old basement.
That was all before I officially started preaching. But
absolutely.
The journey to now has been, one of, I'll be honest with you, it's been living life. That life has not been perfect for me, and it's not perfect for anybody. It's not perfect. And I tell my church all the time, I'm a human being just like you. So when you were talking to Kellie about, having a drink, I'm thinking, well, gosh, I wonder what some people think if they come by me on a restaurant on a, Sunday. So, life has been amazing. It's been hard work. It's been building relationships, and it's been just being myself. I thought about it. Janessa told me, Janessa, I'm gonna pick on you all night. Janessa told me, she says, I said, well, what do I wear? She said, well, you can wear whatever you want to. So I thought about putting on a t-shirt because I knew Rudy and Terry were gonna be, y'all are comedians, y'all are real laid back. Right. It wouldn't be me if I didn't put on a collar shirt and a jacket. I feel you. although I have on my, COVID-19 gear on the very bottom. Right. So, it's been being myself. It's been, knowing that when I go in rooms and circles, I probably won't fit in all the time. Right. But I'm a people person. I enjoy engaging with people. I enjoy just hanging out with people. So that's a wide variety and range of, me, but that's sort of how I am and got to where I am today.
I want to throw a little focus on this dressing up in the robes and taking the pulpit when you were younger. So that's like when I was that age, I was in the backyard being like, it's the bottom of the ninth.
Right.
2 outs. Right. Terry comes up to the plate. You're like putting on the robes. You're like, watch out, Demetrius is about to read the communion. What?
Yeah, I was more like, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, right?
Now, we were definitely preaching our socks off for absolutely nobody. We were running around everything. Like I don't even. It was.
We had now. Imagine this.
Childhood. You're supposed to dream of winning the Super Bowl.
Hey, imagine this. We had 2 pastors. We had like 3 ushers, and we had church members. Yeah. Only me and Rudy. It was just the 2 of us.
Well, Rudy was on that youth usher board.
I've done it all. Choir, everything. You name it.
Oh man.
You name it. So Demetrius, I do want to, I guess, go back to and if anybody else has questions, y'all could just jump in whenever. But I do want to go back to in reference to when you were 12. So 12 years old was when you, I guess, officially 9 years old was when you officially started, I guess, got in a pulpit in front of a body of folks, if you will, and delivered the message. How did you get to that point at 9? I guess like what was the 9-year-old Demetrius going through to even say, I want to get up and preach?
Well, you all know that the young version of me was never a young. I've always been an old soul.
You're right.
I've always got in trouble for being in grown folks' business because I thought I was a grown folk.
Right.
And so for me, I remember my dad told me, he says, He said, son, you realize that, you know, you didn't come to me and ask me, could you preach? You came to me and said, Dad, the Lord called me to preach. You came to me and told me.
Wow.
I was like 9, you know. So and I look at my son today and I say I don't quite remember, but I could see how that could be. And you know, at 9, man, it was, you know, I'll say this, that it was a lot easier for me to just you know, I'd get in trouble in class for reading the Bible when I was supposed to be doing math.
Wow.
Wow. But it was like really extreme, but it was in me. Like, you know, just what I did.
Right.
And the other thing I say this, you know, since you have comedians here, we're laughing and we're loose and everything. You know, the funniest thing that I hear is from my mom's cousins and aunts to tell me that I come and I preach to them, you know, for about 2 minutes. And then right after that, I say, all right, it's offering time. I want them to give me some money. So.
Right. Got to get that collection. No, that's real, man. And when you, what age were you when you, I guess, for lack of a better term, officially became a actual minister? Like got ordained, I guess, as a minister.
Yeah, I was licensed. You know, it might have. I think it was licensed about 9 or 10 under Bishop.
Oh,
Morton.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
And then I became an ordained minister at 18.
Gotcha.
Under my father.
So when you had preached at Bible study that time with obedience is better than sacrifice, you were 9 then?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. I done took away some of the credit. Okay, let me bump that down. I was always saying 12. I thought it was 12. Okay, gotcha. 9.
So I have a question. So your dad is a pastor?
Yes.
So
well, he was a pastor.
Okay.
He's not a pastor anymore, but he's okay. You know, that is okay. Great, you got it.
Okay. So when you were 9, okay. So when you were 0 through 9, your dad was a pastor.
My dad and Janessa's dad were the special assistants to Bishop Morton.
Okay.
At that time, and so that's how Janessa is like a sister to me, like a big sister to me.
That's the only reason he can pick on me. Only reason.
And that's a bigger reason why you should have picked up the phone and called him. I'm gonna get on it too.
That's why your book's gonna fall in the background today.
You know what?
So yeah, our dads work very close together, and are to this day are still really, really close friends, probably best friends actually. And so you know that's he was the special assistant Bishop Morton at that time.
Okay, so do you feel like I guess my question is, as far as, because being called at 9 is, to say that I've been called to ministry at 9 is something I don't know if I've really heard before, and it be genuine and sincere, and you see, 22 years later, you know, that it was truly your calling. Do you feel like it was kind of in your blood? This is just kind of who I am. Was it something that, because my dad was so heavily in the church and my parents were so heavily in church, this is what I experienced? Like, where do you feel like that before you went to your dad and said, I'm called, what did that look like for you prior to that? I guess is my question. Like, where do you feel like, does that make sense?
It makes good sense. I'm just trying to remove the political hat so I don't give you a political answer.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, I would say probably, you know, my being very involved in church had a lot to do with my foundation and love for God, number one. I think that's primarily what drew me and what is still to this day drawing me to preach. Because if the 9-year-old me knew what the 31-year-old me knows, I probably would run far away from ever saying I wanted to preach, like legitimately. But I'd say it was something that was in me, you know, to this day that still burns like a fire, that, you know, I don't know how to quite explain it. I can't really put words to it, but I can tell you that it's something that is, I feel it's God innately, he just puts it in you. And there are a lot of people who minister in different ways. There's some who are called to preach, some who are called to do many different things. But I'm very clear that I'm called to preach, and that's that's in me. Period. And I think it's been there, and I think that same fire that was there at 9 is there today, with a couple of gunshot wounds and burn marks and stab marks, and
Right.
you know what I'm saying. Life itself has happened.
Right.
For sure.
Now, Demetrius, you can't say gunshot room. I'm over here clutching my pearls. Like,
It's a metaphor.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you.
So I have another question.
Wait, hold on.
That I should probably know the answer to. But I don't, so don't judge me. The difference between being licensed and ordained.
Sure.
And I guess that's the first question. And then my second question that's the first question. And then I'll get my second question.
So obviously in the modern church, to be licensed, and when you research it, you see that a licensed minister is able to preach the gospel, but it does not come with, quote unquote, the rights to perform weddings, funerals, weddings, marriages, I guess it's the thing. That type of thing. And so what it really is in the formation of church, it is and this, but it is the it's almost like you don't, I'd say this and I may get in trouble, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Who cares? It's like if today I say I'm called to preach and then tomorrow God's called me to be a bishop. Like, you've got to train yourself and be trained and willing to grow in something. You don't go to Apple today and work in the store and then become the CEO tomorrow. You got to train yourself. And so, yeah.
Okay. So at 9, then Bishop just saw your calling and licensed you to be able to preach in the pulpit.
Not right away. I had to go through tons of ministerial classes.
And so so I know it's usually, and you were in those classes with adults. I'm guessing.
Yes,
how was that? Like at 9?
I remember the first time that I had to, and I got a chance to sit with the elders and ministers. I was so disappointed because, they had to wear black, and I didn't have a black jacket. I had a checkered gray jacket, and I was really upset about it. But I got that privilege after basically, I was really, I see it to this day. And I just knew I was so tacky. And my parents let me wear it, but but yeah, I had to go through some ministerial classes, and and eventually at some point a bishop did license me to preach.
Okay. I'm sure the adults were looking at you like, I'm in here.
Yeah. Were they helpful? Like, were they helpful? Or were they kind of looking at you like, he's not serious. He'll quit this eventually. Like, how was that interaction?
Something. I don't clearly remember it, but I can tell you this, that there was support there, definitely support. But I also felt like, and I feel to this day, when you go through those type of experiences, it's more of a personal experience. So, for me, it was more of a personal experience. So I don't know if I even recall people, but I do remember that same Sunday that I told you all that I stood up with the elders and ministers. I remember an adult telling me I couldn't get up. I was like, what you mean I can't get up? So I got up anyway.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah.
So Demetrius, when did you and your family leave New Beginning? How old were you?
I was 12. It was in 2002 when we left. My parents.
Yeah.
Started.
So we left in 2000, and I was 11. And correct me if I'm wrong. At that point, that's when your dad started his church, or did he?
When did he start a church?
Yeah, when y'all left New Beginning, did he start a church? That's when he started his church.
Yeah. So when we left, the very next Sunday that we left, my dad launched our church. Yes.
Right. So for you, I guess it's a lot different from us. Or I'll just speak for myself. When we left New Beginning and my dad started pastoring at New Piney Grove, it was extremely hard for me. You know, my mom was in the hospital having DJ, and my sister, I was 11, Jessica was 13. So at 13, she wasn't trying to deal with her 11-year-old sister. And then, of course, I didn't have any friends. Like, my entire foundation was gone. I had all these strangers. And so it was really rough for me. But what was that, I would say, 12 to 18 experience for you? Because I will say for me, I feel like I spent a lot of that time being very rebellious or being mad at the world. Y'all didn't ask me if I wanted to be a preacher's kid or if I wanted to come to this church. Like, you literally just, especially being, both of our parents are heavily involved in the church. I mean, like, I feel like we lived at New Beginning. Yeah. So to literally take what is my true foundation and then drop me into some place I never knew, didn't know anybody, didn't have any friends. Like, it was just really hard for me. But since your dad started a church, how was that 12 to 18 before you left the house and went to college experience for you?
I will say this, that for about the first 2 years, I think, that my dad started our church, me and my brother would go back to New Beginning on Sunday.
I would go on fifth Sundays. That's the only time my dad would take me.
We would, and I think, so my brother's 3.5 years older than me. So I think when he got his license at about 16 or 17, we would, because we worked in the media ministry with Miss Greta and Miss
Greta.
Yeah. And we would literally, we'd go back to New Beginning on Sundays. If they were having something special, we'd go back. Yeah. And so it wasn't until I think my brother maybe went off to the Air Force that I got more involved in our church. And I think it was probably a coping mechanism for exactly what you just said. That, I mean, when I say we were involved in church, we went everywhere. Like, we did so much, and so it was difficult. It was hard. I don't know that I had, per se, any being upset. I did want to know why we were leaving, obviously. God called you to start a church, and now we have to leave this church, so that was hard. But at the same time, I think because of the foundation of being a preacher, that it was very much easier for me to just get ingrained in what we were doing and become a part of that.
Do you feel like once your brother left, Mike, let's give Mike a shout out. Hey.
Shout out, Mike.
How you doing? He's definitely a friend of ours as well. But after he left and you were more so, and I don't want to say stuck, but you were now at your dad's church. Did you feel like you immediately jumped into whether it be the youth ministry or ministerial responsibilities, or is that something you just kind of gradually took got involved in? Or
it was more gradual. I can remember sort of when we first started, we had folks leading our youth ministry and X, Y, and Z, and as time went on, I started to gradually take on stuff and gradually get involved.
Okay.
It wasn't like I just jumped into it as more.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right. Enough of the softball questions.
Hold on. Let me ask one more question, Terry. Is the church
ask a hard question? Let me get my jack out the closet real quick.
I got a real basic, easy question. Terry gonna come with something. I don't know if she warned you about Terry. Terry gonna come with something. Mine real easy. The church that you pastor now, is that the church your father started? Is that the one you're talking about now?
Yes.
Okay. So you took over your father's church. Okay. Yeah. And how long ago was that?
I was installed in 2019, but I really started in 2017.
Okay. And then how was that decision made? Did your father, was he retired or
No, he didn't really retire. He just, he felt that God was telling him it was time for me to pastor. Okay. And so he's more of a ministry overseer role now, provides a lot of counsel, deals with a lot of the still day-to-day business.
Okay.
But in terms of actually ministry and running the ministry and all that, it is a task. But, In fact, Rudy, I'm balding a little bit up here.
Wait, does he look over your shoulder and be like, I don't know if you want to do that?
No, but he's very, my dad's very clear. Hey, son, if you ask me for advice on something, I'll give it to you.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going to hover over you. And in fact, if you at our church now, especially like with COVID and being virtual and all that, we have, we basically maybe once out of a month or twice out of the month, my dad may decide he's going to take a break, which is normal now because he's not a pastor. We're not expected to just be there. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Go for it, Terry.
All right, now it's
Where are
your
my
turn
pearls
with me.
when I need
So you work in both religion and politics.
Yes.
What role do you think your religion should play, if any, in your political pursuits?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I'm pursuing my PhD in public policy now, and that discussion is obviously one that you can't have one without having the other, because foundation and establishment of government does come from God. So for me, what impact should it have? I definitely think it should be a guiding light for me. And I'm only speaking for me. It should be a guiding light, but at the same time, I think that you have to. Sometimes people are so spiritual that they're no earthly good. So churchy or whatever you want to call it, they can't be relatable, that they can't serve, that they, I just like Jesus said, I didn't come to be served, I came to serve. And so for me, it's all about helping somebody else and helping someone along the way.
Well, I mean, I know what the Bible says about it. You should follow these external authorities because there is no authority outside of God, and He appoints every. But I don't know if I can believe that, because that means that God put Trump in the White House, and I can't accept that. I can't accept that. Personally, my personal belief is that religion and politics should always be kept apart, because as soon as you mix them, you poison them both. But again, that's just my personal belief. But that's why I wanted to see where you stand on it, because because again, you've got a foot in both camp. You're kind of straddling the tracks here.
What's your ultimate goal with politics, Demetrius?
Well, I'll say this. There's always had something called a 3D. Thank you for the easy question, Rudy. Pulling it. But I'm sure he's going to circle back around to me like an eagle. But I'm ready. But I'll say this, that I have 3P plan: pastor, politician, and professor. And it's very interesting because when I used to say that long before I ever became a pastor. And I'm like, well, why the heck would I say that? It's not like I just yearned to become a pastor, but I guess, when you speak something, it just is what it is. Politician, I ended up in politics because Barack Obama ran for president. This was around the time I can remember being at Payne College when Barack Obama won in 2008. I had just gotten to college in August, and then that November he wins, right? And so I can remember us, in the boys' dormitory, everybody's ready for bed, so we're in our underwear and t-shirts. I can remember nobody put up, we all just ran in the hall and just running up and down. Excited. Well, so by the time I got ready to graduate in 2012, and y'all didn't ask for the story, but I'm gonna give it to you. In 2012, I was getting ready to get out of school, work for the Boy Scouts of America at that time, and there was a congressional office in our same building. I'd go by that office every single day. I just want to know, well, how do I get involved in politics? And eventually one day I walked into the office, and the guy who I used to always talk to, he had quit. He had left and moved on to something else. So his boss saw me, and she starts talking to me. And I didn't know what she was doing, but she was actually interviewing me on the spot. And she emails me, she says, hey, and I wanted to sell a congressman some popcorn for the Boy Scouts. She says, hey, why don't you come back, sell him some popcorn. So I came back, and he was interviewing me. And I thought he wanted to buy popcorn, but he actually offered me the job that day. So to say, for me, it's just been, as I stated in the beginning, just being myself, being who I am, talking a lot. But knowing when to talk.
Right.
So yeah.
But what's your ultimate goal? Do you want to be a mayor? You want to be president? You want to be governor? What's the? Do you have one? You don't have to like force it, but if you have a goal, like what would it be as far as in politics?
Yeah, for my political reasons, I probably wouldn't say.
Gotcha.
But
Okay, fine. A nice, safe question. What drugs have you done, and how long has it been?
How long has it been?
Well,
Don't
no, I'll answer it. Thankfully, I've never been addicted to any drug. So yeah.
I didn't say addicted.
Moving on.
Thank you for the rescue, Janessa.
He's not gonna come over here and mess
Just
with
try it
my
once.
brother,
Like,
okay?
Hey, Janessa, on your screen, on my screen, he's to your right. So just go like.
I do want to know. I guess not so much as far as like your drug of choice.
And I do want you guys to know I'm open to talking about every. You know, I'm
yeah. No. I know. And once again, not even piggybacking off of Terry's question, but not so much what's your drug of choice per se, but what was the experience like in reference to, because you started this at 9, you know what I'm saying? So that means, you know, you were in elementary school, you had to go to middle school, you had to go to high school, you went to college. What was that journey like as far as I guess a more specific question, like what struggles did you have, but also did you, I guess, say remain in that role throughout this entire time? So like we know it happened at 9 and 12, but even while you were in college and high school and everything, were you always just say the preacher or whatever, or was there ever a time that you stepped back?
I'm in a fraternity, so no, you know that's not the case.
Yeah, I read that. That's why I was wondering.
So let me say this, that, you know, you heard me say that the difference between the 31-year-old me and a 9-year-old me would say two different things. I think in somewhere between that, especially, it was more so when I got out of high school, when I got out of my parents' house. Because to answer your question, while I was in my parents' house, yes, I pretty much was that preacher guy. I pretty much was what you saw. And I still am today, but I'll say that life and life's experiences happen, you know, in college. You get to college, you get a little bit of freedom, and you begin to want to indulge and delve into things that you have not done, especially when you're a PK and have been in, not so much, my parents weren't really hard on me. You know, most people would differ. They think my dad's like a military guy. But, you know.
Listen. I've seen your daddy in action, okay? Listen to me. I was scared of Mike McCoy Sr. when I was a child.
I was scared of him too.
Listen to me. I'm sorry to cut you off, Demetrius. I will never forget when I think it was like y'all cousin or somebody was over there and your brother Mike was doing something, hitting him with a pillow or something, and he went upstairs and woke your daddy up in the middle of the night and was like, Mike down there hitting me. And when I heard your dad coming down them stairs and he came down with that tank top on and the muscles, and he was, I'm not gonna go into detail, but he was going in, and I was just like, I'm going to bed. This is over. I am completely terrified.
So, you know, growing up in I'd say just disciplined household, that for me, when I went off to college, you know, I wasn't buck wild, but eventually I got buck wild, you know, and for me, I think that was a much needed experience. You meet some people, you know, and preachers included, PKs included, who think, you know, on Sundays and Wednesdays and whatever days you go to church, they want to be like, oh, you know, just so. Right. And then they don't let you know, look, I got some stuff going on. Right. You know, I might be liable to cuss on this day, you know, depending on how you rub me wrong, you know. Right. And so one of the things that I consistently preach to people is that I'm not perfect at all. You know, so you could encounter me on a day that may not resemble the character of Christ. That's why every day I'm striving and trying to be like Christ, because I ain't made it to being like him yet. You know, and so to answer your question, when I went to college, man, you know, of course, you know, I've learned I remember the first time I had a drink of beer, I was like, this is nasty. Right. I was like, how do people get drunk off of this? Right. I tried Corona, and then I said I like that.
It's always Corona.
You know, and then, you know, so I began to discover myself. I began to discover who I am. And then also, I think one of the best experiences, man, was really realizing how far, you know, I could go. Because of my foundation, you know, as all of us, you know, I got out there and did some things, and you know, and then sort of, I remember the first party that I went to. Like, I didn't go to parties at all. I think prom was probably like the most party I went to in high school, right?
Right.
So, I remember my first party that I went to with Payne, man. It's like literally the first. So I got dropped off on like a Thursday, and that Friday, me and my roommate, his name was Bo. He was from the west side of Atlanta. Andre's his real name. West side of Atlanta, two totally different lifestyles, right? He graduated from, I think, Doug High School. I graduated from Miller Grove. His mom let him bring his car. So we go to this party, this first weekend. And it's in Augusta, Georgia. And so we go, and this guy says, we're in line. We're like, yeah, man, we got to go in here, you know, see some girls. You know, we live it. You know what I'm saying? Especially me. I'm like, I'm living. And so we get in the line, and this dude comes in the line. He says, anybody under 250, he says, yo, you know, your A is mine. And he pulls out a gun. Oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm like,
first quarter.
Lord, I know what's
God punishing him.
And so, you know, so I recall so many different things that taught me what I want to be a part of and what I don't want to be a part of. And so today, when I decide that I don't go out a lot, partially because of family, but partially because of, you know, other stuff I got to do. So if I'm going to drink, if I'm going to have fun, if I'm going to chill, it's probably likely, especially now because I'm married, it's going to be with my wife, it's going to be with a house, or it's going to be with a trusted friend, you know, who's going to protect me. And that's how to expose me.
Well, the reason I asked that question in the beginning was because you said you were ordained at 18, but you also, you know, are a fraternity guy. So you know what I mean? Like, and you kind of answered it already, but it was like, you know, you can't walk that straight line and then get to Sigma Tau Delta, and no, because they would just be like, all right,
trying to get to Sigma Tau Delta because that's an academic. But
Alpha Phi Alpha,
But Terry,
but I kind of get it because my father was a drug dealer before he became a pastor. Like, he did the full 180, you know. He used to deal pot and LSD back in the 70s, and then just turned it around like that.
And so, Terry, I want to say this just real quick and drop this in there. And I said it to some degree, but I don't think I would have the conviction about preaching the way that I have it if I had not experienced some of the things that I got out there and experienced.
Right, and that's what he says. He says his life before the ministry was actually kind of critical to him in the ministry, you know. He you know, makes him more relatable. Like, he gets it. He gets how hard it is to quit smoking because he had to quit smoking. He gets how hard it is to quit drugs because he quit drugs. You know, so.
Were you when you went to college, Demetrius? Were you ever just say known as the preacher minister, and then people seen like just say your quote unquote worldly side, or when you got there you just kind of went in neutral and then people may have found out, I guess, on the back end?
No, from the time I stepped on campus. Well, so remember, everything about me, I've always been different, right? So the first day I stepped on campus, I wore a 3-piece suit because I did it in high school, and that was just me. And so from the time that I arrived there, there was always a stereotype that I was something. They didn't know what I was, but I was something. And so eventually they found out I was a pastor. Yes. But see, I didn't pledge until my senior year of college. So that means I had a long, expensive time to, do undercover dirt. You know, before I was in a fraternity where people's eyes were actually on me. But no, I mean, from the time that I was in college all the way through, folks always knew me as a preacher. And they knew my character and my heart. You know, I believe that. And if you talk to someone today, I hope they say that.
Right. Yeah. So I actually want to double down on that whole undercover dirt thing. So like when you not even so much with college, but like we've talked about this on this podcast before, in reference to like how much difference would it make if, just say, pastors or preachers, when they were whether in the pulpit or just addressing their congregation in general, if they were more open about just say their everyday struggle, as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, covering yourself up to kind of keep the image. Because one thing I've definitely learned in my personal life is perception is reality, and people, especially in church, maybe this is even just a black church thing, but people definitely just say gauge your anointing based off of what you show them. You know what I'm saying? So if you
fruits of the tree, if you would,
right, if you use your gift and you know how to act in front of church folk, you're anointed. If you use your gift and let's just say people found out a different side of you, you would be something else. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my question is, what is your thoughts, or how do you feel in reference to you yourself, or even pastors or preachers in general, standing in front of the congregation, not telling every nook and cranny of their business, but saying like, I currently am right now as your pastor dealing with this. You know what I'm saying? How do you think, I guess, that would affect the church differently?
Well, you said that the perception is reality. The reality is this: that as a pastor, as a leader, what you say impacts the people who you serve. Mm-hmm. And so I think that not only are pastors, I don't even know if it's so much about concern about image, mm-hmm. but I know that it's about the reality, and the reality is that people not only gauge your anointing based off of what you let them know, but they also they judge it. Mm-hmm. They folks are, as much as I love to serve people, as much as I love to work with people, folks can be brutal, like
right,
real brutal.
Right.
And so I think I want you to restate the question for me and give me a little
I guess just more or less like what difference do you think it would make, or what impact would it make if pastors or preachers were more blunt or about their current struggles, as opposed to saying like this has nothing to do with Terry's father, but like if Terry's father, would say, I dealt drugs before I became a pastor, well, everybody will say, well, everybody did that. You know what I'm saying? That was before your time. But what if, and not that he has to deal drugs as a pastor, but if he said, as a pastor, I'm currently struggling with this sin or this thing that's wrong in God's eyes, what difference do you think that would make in reference to how people would view the pastor or church or God or anything?
I think it depends on what that person is there for. If someone is really in a position or a place, a church, if you want to call it, to really receive, I think in some cases it will be helpful. But in a lot of cases, sadly, in the reality of church, I think it'd be detrimental. I mean, you can look at stories of things that come out about pastors, X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. The amount of judgment that flows in not only from the world, but from the church. The sad reality of it is that we should be able to speak truth, but we also, as pastors, are supposed to live beyond reproach. An elder, Paul taught us, is to live, or Timothy taught us to live beyond reproach. So it's to avoid the appearance of evil. But at the same time, the reality is that I'm flesh and bone just like you. So the same struggle that you have, guess what? I have that same struggle too.
Right.
The difference is, some people may or may not see that about them. So that's the reality.
And you think, and do you think, I guess it's too late to start now? Not that it has to start with you, but like because of that perception already kind of being deep rooted. Because even with things coming out now with pastors, it's kind of more or less them kind of admitting something that they were hiding that probably could come out, especially if it's like infidelity on their wife or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's not necessarily, at least in my opinion, I've never really seen anybody outwardly say, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's just more or less like, hey, let me do some damage control and step in front of this before my congregation hears it from the world. I'd rather they hear it from me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I would just always thought like if, or I guess what would be the difference, or, and I guess even just going to my exact question, do you think it's too late in reference to the way people's perceptions already are, if pastors started doing that now, do you think people just wouldn't be accepting to it?
I don't know that I can answer that question. I think that's a question that is, you have to.
Right. Case by
know,
case.
I don't know that I can answer that. I've seen a lot of examples of where pastors did, quote unquote, speak about things that they were presently dealing with, and I saw, it was downhill from there.
Right.
I don't know that I could actually speak about that. I don't know that people want to know that their pastor has a drinking problem.
Right.
A woman. I don't know if people want to know that. Yeah, I think that's really something as a discussion for church and not for me to decide.
Right.
I think it's a collective conversation.
Gotcha.
How do you feel about Creflo Dollar and televangelists and seed faith?
You asked about somebody specifically, and because I'm a pastor as well, and because I'm in the same city as this pastor that you've asked about, and because I know that someday I could be a televangelist as well, I'm going to deflect your question. And
how very political.
So I respect every woman and man of God who stands up in truth and who stands up to preach the word of God, regardless as to what people say about them, because I'm one of them.
But no, I do only have a few more questions for you, Demetrius, before we wrap things up.
Okay.
So like I said, we call this the Worst Ones podcast because of the stipulation that preachers' kids get. You can't do anything wrong without somebody saying, "Oh, them preachers' kids, they the worst ones." So I guess with you being a PK specifically, I know you kind of had that, as far as like your calling and everything. But were there any pressures or I'll just say pressures. Were there any pressures in being a PK, from even whether it was when your dad was under Bishop Morton or even when he was doing his own thing? Was there ever any type of, just say, protocol or pressures that kind of came with that position?
Definitely pressure. Definitely pressure. I can. Gosh, I'm giving y'all some stories. But I can remember we were at. Should I tell that story?
Go for it. Let's hear it.
I can remember my brother. Older siblings obviously always have an impact on the younger ones.
Right.
And I can remember we were at church at Bible study. Bible study was in session, and my brother says, "Man, I gotta use the bathroom." And so I said, "Well, let's go into church. This is right here." He says, "No, let's just go over this wall right here." It pee right here. Right. And so we, I followed his lead. We went and we were, peeing on the church grounds right there. And everybody's in Bible study, so nobody's gonna walk by.
Right.
And then here came an elder out of the church. Wow. And oh my
hand.
Oh, now I want to know who it is.
Embarrassment. But I have to ask myself the question of this. You know what that lady said when she saw us? The first thing she said, "Oh my goodness, look at Elder McCoy's boy." The first thing she said. And I have to ask myself, well, if we weren't Elder McCoy's boys, would the reaction have been the same? Would the getting in trouble and having to go tell somebody, would it have been the same? And the reality is, no, it wouldn't have been. Because if we were somebody else, they would be like, "Oh, well, that's just how they do it. And, that's just how they are." But yeah, there was a lot of pressure that came with it. And so it was just, you couldn't do anything,
We had very different churchgoers, you and I, because if somebody was peeing on the side of the church, I don't care if it was a homeless man or his kids from school, somebody would have said something, been like,
Yeah, well, she said something, and she said enough to get us in trouble.
So, do you think those pressures came more from outside people? I guess looking in more than your parents, or was it from your parents as well?
Oh no, my parents didn't put any pressure on us. No, they didn't put any pressure on us at all. Well, yeah, I didn't put any pressure on us, but it came from church people.
Right.
Church people. I never felt any pressure from my parents.
Right. Gotcha.
And that's not the political answer. That's the reality.
Right. Got you. I got you. And so with you now, being a husband and a father, and happy belated Father's Day to you. I guess for one, where did you meet your wife? And then also, how has being a husband and a father changed you?
So it's my turn to interview you guys. Before you ask your question, Kelly, where do you all think I met my wife? I'll start with you, Kelly, right above me.
I know where you met your wife.
Okay, so hold on. Kelly, you said I met her where?
So my question was, and I'm gonna answer your question with my question. My question was that I saw in your bio that you guys were both senior pastors. And so it looks like and I don't know how long ago, and I was going to ask you how long ago you met her, how you met her. I was going to ask all of those. So I was wondering my answer would be to your question. You met her at a church function, event, a conference, a revival, somewhere church related is what I'm
going to say the strip club.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
I love the wild answer.
Did you miss the would Jesus watch? What was the movie?
Oh, the Players Club. Would Jesus watch the Players Club?
Yeah.
This is tame.
I would say I don't know, either Publix, grocery store. I don't know.
Okay. And Janessa, you said you know where I met her?
I think I do.
Are you 100% solid on it?
Let me give you my rendition.
Mm-hmm.
School.
Okay.
Y'all were going to be there together. She was nervous. It had something to do with Facebook or social media.
Okay. So you're on to something. It wasn't.
See?
You're correct.
For me to be, I can't be your sister and not know these things, sir.
Right. Me and my wife met on Facebook.
See?
She had just started, like Janessa said, she had just started her specialist degree program at Brunel, and I had just started my master's there. And she posted something on Facebook, and I commented. And she's not here to defend herself, so I won't go too hard on this. But she hit and slid in my DM.
Slid in the DM, okay.
And it was over.
Zuckerberg strikes again. There it is.
Yes. I met my wife on Facebook. And how has married and family life changed me? I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. I try to get up about 2 or 3 times a week and work out in the mornings. And my cousin, who actually works out with me, he was, we were talking, and he asked me the same exact question. And I said, it's made me, it's never about me anymore. It's always about my wife and my son, and, make sure that they're good, make sure that they're okay. I don't live my life. I do live my life for me, but I think you get what I'm saying when I say I really live to try to make sure that they're good, that they're okay. It has slowed me down some. I'm the kind of person, I would love to, politically, I'd love to jump on a plane and go to this place and that place and do this and do that. And I just love to be running and doing everything.
Right.
And it's made me more focused. It's made me more focused on what I want to do, what I want to be. It's made me more focused on saving some money, establishing something.
Right.
So it's made me a better man. I feel, and it's really leveled me out. I don't think that I would fully be. I probably could have done a lot of things, and bought this and X, Y, and Z. I think for me, it has really shaped me. It has made me. It's made me. Here's a great analogy. Instead of me being a pan pizza, or what's the one that's thin? A thin crust pizza. It's made me a stuffed crust pizza.
Gotcha.
Both metaphorically and literally, because I'm. But it's made my life more fuller, I feel.
So I would be remiss if I didn't get this one question out of you, because you worked for Congressman Barrow, right?
John
Barrow. Sorry. And I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories. Is he a lizard person?
Is he a who?
A lizard person.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, what does that mean?
There's a conspiracy theory going around that most members of Congress and Senate are actually lizard people from outer space. So I just want to get a confirmation or denial on that.
Terry, that was a waste of a question. That was a complete waste of a question. Kelly, go ahead.
So back to
That's
your
actually
wife.
real though. That's
I believe
thing
it's
that's
real.
happened.
It's completely a waste of a question.
World.
What? Back to your wife.
So does that mean that I would have to become one if I became a member of Congress?
Yes, you have to become a lizard person.
Gotcha.
Could you imagine a lizard person standing up preaching every Sunday?
Just
Tell 'em we
reading
just have to-
scriptures and licking flies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Kellie.
Can y'all invite me to become a part of this a little bit more often?
You said
Absolutely.
don't or please. You said don't invite me to come back.
No, I said, can you?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
don't invite. He wants
Well,
to
I
come
need
back.
Jesus, so
No, I love that.
We know. No. But was your wife called to ministry as well? So to have so you guys are co-pastors?
So no, I'm the senior pastor. My wife is the co-pastor.
Okay.
Of our church, and my wife actually she's always been active in church. She's taught a lot in church, but she actually didn't become a ordained minister, licensed and ordained minister until we got in ministry together.
Okay. And how is that pastoring with your wife?
I think in these days, and these days means so think about our transition to becoming pastors. We were installed in 2019. Coronavirus happened in 2020, right? And then we are where we are today. So I think for us, it's become a great partnership. There are a number of things which I rely heavily on my wife to help out with at church. And she literally does that a co-pastor, So there's some things that maybe I don't want to do it's Sunday morning and I need to be focused on what I'm going to say. So I asked my wife to do it. Or there's some
does that come out when you guys argue and be like because you're husband and wife too, so obviously you argue sometimes. Does that come out where you just be, oh yeah, well, who's the co-pastor and who's the pastor?
to just be, I get what you're saying,
Like, I've been married before. I know what it's like.
Something, I leave a lot of my hats at the door.
Okay.
Sadly, coronavirus has made a lot of those hats come inside. But I try. I don't know how good of a job I do.
Right.
But I try to just be who I am.
Well, that's a smart man. Leave your hat at the door. That's a good analogy for everybody.
Have you guys started in-person services again, or are you still just completely virtual?
We're a hybrid. So we do allow people to RSVP to come in for services. But I'd say probably about 60% of our people still are virtual.
Okay. Janessa, just random question. I know it's not about us today, but Janessa, has your dad allowed in-person services, hybrid?
So we do first and second Sundays, if weather's permitting, we do outdoor service. Okay. And then third and fourth Sunday, they do in the sanctuary, where it's either live. Sometimes they do it live, and sometimes they will do 2 services and pre-record for the following week.
But no one's in the sanctuary.
Not that I know of. I think they just recently started letting some of the deacons in, or the deacons' wives, or the minister, like the leadership in the church. But just like regular members, I don't think they're at that level yet.
Okay. And
That's
then
crazy to me.
Ain't nobody asked about my church.
What about your church?
What's going on at Korean?
We ain't asked about
Nobody really asked about my church.
we
No,
can
it's
find
crazy to me because here in Florida, like, we're pretty much wild down here.
He's in Atlanta. They're just being safe. Trust me. They've been.
So wait. So
I think it's great. I've already been vaccinated and whatnot, but down here, I mean, like, Rudy, you've been all over. Like, how many masks you see?
No, but what I'm saying
I went to the
is,
grocery store today. It was like 50-50.
Right, but what I'm saying is Atlanta has been like that the whole pandemic.
Not church.
I'm saying the city. I'm saying, like, so whatever protocals y'all are taking in church, that's just y'all being safe. But I'm saying, as far as the city, they could have been done it, and you know what I'm saying, and whatever. Like, Atlanta been wilding, 100%.
They're down here. They're back in regular service for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, my church has a lot of older members, and everybody's not able to get vaccinated due to health reasons or other personal reasons. So it's just like you said, it's more of just a overly cautious thing. And now you got this Delta variant, and I mean, Demetrius, you can speak about this in your response, but I think it will weigh heavily personally on my dad's mental. And if church members died because of a poor decision, or, you know, he did not do things to the best of his ability, like, I just don't think he would be okay, you know, knowing that knowing our congregation, knowing the situation of our congregation, and not being protective of the congregation.
Yeah,
well, down here we have Governor DeSantis, and he said, "Go back to church," and everybody went, "All right, we're going back to church." That was like 8 months ago. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
So, Kellie, is your church open?
So
what's that?
He asked if our church was open. So they've started to. So a couple of weeks back, maybe a month or so back, they started transition the deacons and the elders and ministers, and now, yes, you can RSVP for service. I think my dad said the other day that they're moving towards kind of a first come, first serve. So the first 150, 200 people can get in. So he was
like the club.
3 before 11.
My daddy. He said, so I know we're gonna be on the news. People fighting in church, trying to get in, trying to get this right.
They be camping out the night before, like Black Friday.
Right. I'm going to church on first Sunday and getting communion.
And I'm like, I just love your confidence that people want to come, that they fighting and standing in line for the club. Like,
trying to touch that hem. Anyway.
Right. So yes, so they doing the club line.
The him or trying to touch the him?
The him, the him.
And can you get
they hit the him for the goddamn. These my final two questions. If anybody else got something, feel free to throw about. These are my final two questions. First question is, Demetrius, for your son. Do you, not so much pastoring, but do you have, just say, I'm not gonna say, I don't know if desire is the word that I want to use, but is your son, when he grows up old enough to, I guess, make decisions, will he have the the right to explore and choose what he wants in reference to religion, and obviously he's gonna be growing up in church because he's your child, but I'm saying, like, will you try to just say keep him? I think my mom would freak out if I was anything else but a Christian. That's not why I am one, but I'm just saying, I just know her in my upbringing. So I guess, would you kind of have that same reaction, or would you just want your son, or even if you have more kids, to kind of be free in that way in reference to what they want to believe? Just
to clarify, Rudy's saying, what happens if your son becomes Muslim?
If I wanted to say that, I would have said it.
I was gonna say, I like the way Rudy asked the question. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Rudy, as you asked that question, there were two words that came to my mind, and I want you to figure out what those two words are.
Oh man, I probably won't do
Are they godly words?
No, I don't think so.
The second one
is it? What is it? Hell and
all
no?
I got is hell. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Try Jesus, try again. Like, that's all I. Don't try me. Try me.
I mean, you know, if everybody has the right to feel how they feel, that's how I feel. I mean,
as for you and your house,
I got to sign up right over there. But you know something? I'm gonna tell you, just like probably like our parents as well. I feel the foundation, even at this young age that he has, I feel the foundation is so strong. I feel like even if he went out there and heard and saw whatever, I wouldn't even second guess that he, you know,
find his way back.
Yeah,
I got you.
I don't even think he's leaving.
I got you. And then this is my final question. With you being a pastor, being in a position of power, do women flock to you because of that? Like, do they put that pressure on you? Not that you indulge, but is that a thing that comes with that position?
No, tell us if you indulge.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm very intentional about is from the pulpit, I actively speak about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I actively tell my wife from the pulpit how fine she is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
I
right.
actively do those things, and I do it not just for my wife's edification.
Mm-hmm.
I do it to let people know that my interest is in my wife.
Mm-hmm.
My focus is in my wife. Now, question is, does that stick? You know, something to be frankly honest, and I hear my son coming, but to be frankly honest, if that's the case, I wouldn't know, because I'm you know, I'm not. It's what you put your attention on. I don't put my attention on it if it doesn't.
Gotto. So no one's ever like
that. That doesn't hurt you at home, I'm sure, because women love when you profess your love publicly. That's why women like getting flowers at work. It's not because they like flowers; it's because they like the attention that it gets them at work. You know what I mean? So it doesn't hurt you at home when you're like, my wife's fantastic on the pulpit, and she's like, mm-hmm.
Right. I guess the reason I asked that specific question, because I remember hearing a story that Bishop Paul told on one of the recordings, preaching whatever he was doing, but he was talking about how he was on the road preaching, and he was by himself. But like when people were walking up to the altar, just say to shake his hand or whatever, like a woman slipped a note in his hand, you know what I'm saying? And he just and he said he didn't think nothing of it. He just put it in his pocket. He thinking it's just a prayer request or whatever, you know. He didn't, but he said when he got back to his hotel, he read it, and it said something like, I know you're here by yourself, you know what I'm saying? So if you need some company, call this number. I was the woman in the red dress on the third row. And he said immediately he had to stop himself because immediately his mind was like, third row, red dress, who was that? You know what I'm saying? But he had to catch himself because he realized, like, I need to shut this down immediately before this, whatever. So that's what made me ask that in regards, because of that story. So I just wondered, did that kind of just come with the territory? So that was my question.
Yeah. For me, I
got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Go for it.
On this topic. So one thing, and we talked about this in another podcast, and maybe we need to bring Mariah on, give her own shine. But
honey, they want to bring you on.
We do.
Warn her, honey. Warn her.
Because we want to know about
to decline.
Now,
let her know about me.
My wife is a straight shooter. She tells the real truth. You know, because I'm political, I tell the truth, but I know how to draw it like this, that, and the third. She's just like straight shooter.
She's like, no, we're not about to go in a circle. We're about to do a direct path. My type of girl. But first of all, do you have to do like speaking engagements or funerals or weddings? Like, do you have to, and when I say travel, not necessarily like, oh, you got to go to California, but even just locally, if there's a funeral or wedding or you're preaching at a revival or whatever, does your wife come with you?
Most times, depending on, we have a son now. So before it would be easier to have Mariah come with me to do various things. But sometimes if she's not available, I always take someone with me, an armor bearer, someone. I probably very rarely will go anywhere by myself.
Gotcha.
But,
yeah.
That doesn't mean I won't go, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when we had this discussion, like my mom is the type of person who's going to come to every service. If they got fire services that day, my mom's going to be there. Kellie's mom is
1.5, if that.
And sis got stuff to do, okay?
I'll be at one.
So, no, I was just wondering, like, that's why I said we should have her on. What is her perspective, engagement, her view of this? Because just like you're saying, she might have a similar or a different perspective. You're talking about you praise your wife from the pulpit, and she's over here like, you better or else.
Or she's like, I see you.
Right.
Yeah, like if you go a few services without mentioning her, she's like, is that you get?
You know something, women, you all have this innate ability that maybe something I just don't have. You all can see and sense things from a gazillion miles away, and you'd be like, "Did you see that?" And the guys would be like, "What you talking about?" Exactly. So she has that.
Exactly. That's why we want to talk to her.
Kellie, you're laughing. Kellie, you must have that sense too.
I got it from my mama. Okay?
Right, exactly. Yep.
First Lady Rowland is who I got it from.
It's a women's thing. Yep, for sure.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Any more questions, guys? All hearts and minds clear?
I'm
Cool,
good.
man.
The church are
Just
open.
for the road, Terry. Just for the road, throw one more tough one at.
He's been actually really good.
Yes.
Compared to other ones.
Hey, wait a minute. Now, Rudy's gone way farther than I have.
Don't get
that's subjective.
Bug-eyed scene in the middle.
Do you want to ask him that?
Okay,
he's basically referring to because
Jesus was human.
Oh,
yes,
right.
Let's end on this.
In his human form.
Let's end on this.
Does that mean he got morning wood?
Yeah, look at his eyes. We got to use that in the intro.
He got bug-eyed too. See?
to be fair, that was my question. I don't think Terry asked that. Did you? Or did you ask that part? I don't know. One of us asked. I know I asked about the Players Club. I think you asked about the morning wood.
I asked about the morning wood. You asked about whether Jesus
all I want
would
to
go
say
to a
is
strip
that
club or
Kellie
not.
and Janessa did not ask any of these.
Kellie was not even part of the conversation.
No, we're me and Rudy are the heathens.
Yeah. All I want to say is this has been a wonderful pleasure being on.
How very political.
That is why we are called the worst ones.
That's right.
And Kellie Lee, if they want to follow us, where can they find us?
So on Instagram, you can find us at the worst ones PK. Sometimes y'all need me to spell it for you. I'm not gonna spell it for you today, but it's the worst ones PK. If you want to listen to us, what'd you say?
I said learn to spell, everybody.
The worst ones PK. Just keep trying. You'll find us. If you want to listen to us, you can listen to us any place where you can listen to podcasts, except for I forgot that one.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio. There it is. But you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, my favorite, Apple Podcasts, and of course, when you listen, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Do that to the same thing for our Instagram page too. Like, comment, follow, tell your friends, repost, all of those good things. But as always, thank you for listening.
And your personal page, Kellie?
Oh no, we're not doing that today.
Oh, back in the hole? Okay.
We back.
Back on private? Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, Janessa, go for it.
Yep, you can find me at Melanated Brews. It is a blog on all things coffee, tea, and beer. This week I went to a place called Waller's. It was absolutely delicious. I will go back. I had the white chocolate latte, I think, and my boyfriend and his daughter had the white hot chocolate, which was actually really good. So check us out. We have fun over there at Melanated Brews on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know how to use it, but it's on there. So yeah, follow me.
Gotcha. Terry Wayne.
Terry Wayne Comedy. All social media platforms. Come out, see a show sometime. I get way worse on stage than I do on here.
As for me, you guys know I want you to follow at the podcast official page. We have another episode coming up this Monday. Recording it live on the 28th. The topic is marriage versus life partners. Which side are you on? And Demetrius, I also have yours, sir. You can go ahead and let people know where they can find you at.
At Demetrius McCoy and all things me, inspiration or whatever else about my family.
How do we find church service, streaming, all of that good stuff?
Sure. On Facebook, it's just at the Life Center. At the Life Center, you can find us there.
And then you guys stream Sundays, Wednesdays, what time?
We stream on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. and then we stream on Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m.
And so about how long is your 9:30 service? 9:30 to
9:30. We're normally out by 11.
Okay.
Kellie ain't gonna be there at 10:59. When the doors of the church are open, that's when she's
I get to before the sermon.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna check you guys out.
Okay.
Does your church have an Instagram page or just Facebook?
Just Facebook.
Just Facebook. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm going into a whole nother podcast. All right.
Well, Demetrius, we definitely appreciate you, man, pulling up, bro. You was a wonderful, wonderful guest, man. We appreciate you putting up with our questions, giving us great answers, even the political ones. Yeah, man, and this is what we do. So if you ever want to come back, please let us know, because we normally shoot on Wednesdays, but we don't mind, pushing it to Thursday. You know what I'm saying?
We never gonna want to come back. I made certain of that.
Terry, I was gonna say, I don't know if I want to go in my prayer closet or my drink closet.
If you pray, just take a sip. If need be. Pray and take a sip if need be.
I mean, didn't Jesus turn water into wine?
Here we go. All right, here we go. All right.
Enjoyed the opportunity. Thank y'all so much.
No.
Thank you.
Send our love to the fam, man. Tell everybody we said hey. Thank you guys for anybody who listened and watched. We appreciate all 500 gazillion, trillion, bazillion listeners that we have. Please keep subscribing, liking, and commenting is the other thing. And we'll be back next week, man. Until next time, we out. Put your two fingers up.
Put your two fingers up.